Well, I'm only up to the end of part two, but I wanted to give an impression of what I think so far. And it's difficult to disagree with anything that she's saying. She's just getting to the part now, though, where she is going to discuss the differences between the two general reactions in the scientific and philosophical community to her proposition that the mind is nothing but the brain and is best described and truly described through neural explanations which refer to the physics, chemistry, and physiology of the brain, rather than to any first-person accounts or psychoanalytic explanations, mythopoeic explanations. But I guess those aren't really explanations. They're expressions of just the varying forms of the way human beings can react or respond to or relate to their experience. Basically, all of these ways of relating to experience are false except the true physical account. And the two general reactions to this proposition are, first, that it's not really possible. Knowledge of the physical brain cannot explain what it is to be conscious, can't explain what it is to see color and to feel pain. The other reaction would be that, well, let's just try and see. Let's get behavioral and neural constraints from experimental psychology and neuroscience, and then obviously you factor in chemistry and physics for more constraints, and then based on all of that empirical data, you just see where the science takes you. And I have no problem with that, but I also fall into the first camp as well. I think while I think it's valuable to do this research, and certainly very interesting and in a sense profound, that we could truly know what the physics of this situation are all about. That's astounding, but it doesn't give us the whole picture. And so I have to agree that just having knowledge of physical brain states does not all of a sudden get rid of mystery, or the irreducibly first-person, immediately felt presence of reality. That's something that's not the same as what you can explain with scientific investigation. The funny thing is, though, the scientific investigation points you right in the direction of what that direct experience of your immediate existence is supposed to be about. Because it's telling you that there is no consciousness, there's no ego separate from the world out there. And Patricia Churchland talks a lot about the brain being the thinker and the problem solver. She says it's a very fancy piece of meat, basically, which you can't disagree with either. I mean, I can't disagree with it, but when you start to consider, first of all, the embodiment of the brain, the fact that it's part of a larger organism which has evolved into a certain biological niche and is essentially a closed system in and of itself, yet structurally coupled to the environment, in the sense that it needs to take an energy from the environment in some form and needs to be able to survive and reproduce itself in that environment. And so while there is a skin barrier between the two, they're not exactly explainable in terms totally divorced from one another. You can't understand animals unless you understand ecosystems. And in fact, the animal is a subunit of the ecosystem. The ecosystem is an emergent property of oxygen and H2O and a variety of plants and fish and mammals and reptiles and birds and all kinds of nice stuff like that. And to talk about the brain then as a causal entity, like the brain is in control and we're programmed by the brain. The programmer is the environment, I guess you would have to say, but really, where do you draw the line? I mean, the skin barrier seems like the obvious line, but I don't know how explanatory our science will be if we're only explaining the brain. We also need to know about what worlds are, what the brains create worlds for us, whatever our conscious, whatever that word is and means, what it signifies, what we're all, or at least most of us, are talking about when we say experience. My experience, we mean something that takes place in a brain-body world relationship, and it isn't caused by any one of those three in particular. It's an emergent property of the three together. It's the Trinity, I guess. A Catholic mystery right at the center of science. Well, I better stop now and watch the rest of the video.